Hi everyone, I'm Cynthia. Let's talk makeup. And today I want to talk about cream bases because I have been testing out a couple of cream bases over the course of several months actually. I really needed to test them out all kinds of different ways before I could get on here and talk to you about them. But let's get started first by what do I mean by cream bases. So because the problem that I have is that my lids are very oily, and what that means is that it'll fade my shadows throughout the day, and I'll get a weird kind of crease in my eye because the eye folds, etc., and then the oil start peeking through, it breaks it down, and then I get this weird creases on my lid. So usually some sort of eyeshadow primer will help. Not all eyeshadow primers will though. This one will, and with most shadows I can use just this, but like I said, not with all of them and not with every eyeshadow primer. So what I have found really helps me is to use some sort of cream base, something creamy on the eye that will create a lot of more stickiness. And whenever I use the cream base, it has guaranteed that my eyeshadow will stay on all day. If I use the cream base, I don't worry about it at all. My eyeshadow stays on. So I had been using the MAC Cosmetics Paint Pot in Painterly for a long time. Those paint pots last a lifetime. They like never end. I was trying to like use it up and I was having a hard time with it, and then it got so dried up that even reviving it wasn't really helping very much. So I threw that one out and I went to Ulta and picked up two different eyeshadow bases that I found. One was a lot like the MAC Cosmetics Paint Pot. This is the Tarte Cosmetics Lid Lock Eye Base in Buff. They only have this one color so far, but I thought, okay, this one's cruelty free and it's a lot like the MAC Paint Pot, so I already know how to use it. So I thought I'd try that out. And then the second thing I decided to try out is this Smashbox Cosmetics Photo Finish Lid Primer in the color medium. This one they do have, I believe they have two shades of. They had medium and light. So I got the medium and decided to try it out. So let's start off with, so I do still, when I use a cream base, I still go in with some eyeshadow primer. It doesn't hurt. You don't necessarily have to do this step, but it doesn't hurt, and this eyeshadow primer is so good that I just like putting it on my lid all the time. So again, this is the Milani eyeshadow primer. Put it on, spread it out, voila. So this one spreads out really evenly and pretty clear. Like you don't see any color on my eyelid because of the primer. So I'm gonna go in with the Tarte first, and I tried using this a couple of different ways. So the first way was with a brush, because I usually don't like getting my finger into any kind of makeup because then you have to clean it and it feels icky. So I went in with a brush, swirled it in here, and you can see that there is some product on here, and then placed it on my eye. I'm gonna go ahead and put it on this eye so you can see, but I have to go in for more because one does not cover up my whole eye. So I put it on the lid and then put it up to the eyebrow so that it'll cover up everything I'm going to put on my eyes. So that's pretty much the way it goes. The other way I have applied it is by sticking my finger in here, even though I don't like to do that, and then putting that on my eyelid. This kind of deposits more product on your eyelid because, as you hopefully could tell, this doesn't deposit a ton of product on the eyelid. It deposits enough, but not a ton. Let me show you the swatch of this so you can see the color. So that's a kind of thicker swatch of it. So this one is actually lighter than my skin tone, lighter than the color on my eyelid, which was the same thing that I experienced with the MAC Paint Pot, and it's not necessarily my favorite thing in the world because it's not considerably lighter. It's fine, this will work, but what I found is I liked going over this with some sort of powder, and with this base I do like going over with some sort of powder on top, something cream or skin tone on it. I'm not going to do that now because I want you to see how it works with nothing else on top of it, but you can put a dusting of eyeshadow on top of this, and that will help the eyeshadows that you're going to apply in afterwards blend nicely. So now let's go in with the Smashbox in medium, and so this one has a doe foot applicator, so this one does not require me using anything else to apply it. So well, there you can see I just deposited some on my lid, and then I go in with my finger and spread that out everywhere I want it. So all over the lid and then up to the brow bone again. Alright, so it doesn't take a whole lot of effort, and I could have done that with the brush as well. I just, a lot of time just for speed, I go ahead and use my finger, even though I don't like it. But there, so you can see that this one, the Smashbox, has a darker tint to it. Now, at first, I didn't like that, the darker tint, because I was used to working with lighter tints, and I was like, what is that going to do to my eyeshadow? So at first, I was dead set this one was going to be my go-to. And let me show you the swatch of both. There you go. So just on the application, I prefer the Smashbox. I just do this one. I've only had for a few months, and it's a really dry texture on here. You can even see like applying it. Even with the brush, I have to go in and swirl it in there a bit with some pressure, because it's not easy to get the product off of this pot and onto the brush or onto my finger. It requires effort, and that was not my experience with the MAC Paint Pot. The MAC Paint Pot was very easy to pick up product from, and this one requires more. So for that reason alone, I really don't prefer the Tarte eye base, and yeah, like I just don't. I have been reaching for this for the last like month and a half after I stopped using this one. So application for me is a big deal with these eye bases, but the other thing with them is, all right, how does my eyeshadow apply over them? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with my Lorac Pro 1. So going back old school. So this is a palette that a lot of people probably have. And to me, it's one of my favorite eyeshadow formulas. And so I'm going to go in with Mauve on the crease. And I'm going to go in on this eye first. So this is the eye with the Smashbox. So that applies really nicely. Blends in. I'm not having to it's not getting caught on the base at all. With some bases that can be a problem, where like you're applying a shadow that normally applies smoothly, and all of a sudden it's like not applying, right? Like it requires a lot of stoppage and a lot of blending, and this one applies just like it would on my eye with nothing on, or with just eye primer. So that's one eye. The other eye, the one with the Tarte Cosmetics eye base, this one's a lot stickier than the other, but I still find that even without putting any kind of shadow on top to help blend things out, it works. So I was really happy with both of those and the way that eyeshadow applies on top of them. So hopefully you're seeing right now that there is a little bit of a difference in the way the eyeshadow comes off looking in each eye. This one looks a little bit darker than this one, like just a tinge, and that's because the eye base on here, the one with the Tarte, is lighter. It's a lighter base than the Smashbox. So I thought that was really interesting when I did this the other day to test them out simultaneously. But in terms of blending out, I felt like they blend out fine with nothing on top. The Smashbox I prefer with nothing over it, but this one I think I do prefer just a little bit with some sort of cream eyeshadow on. Let me show you the lid so that I am showing you the full spectrum of the eye. Show ya. I'm not doing anything crazy or revolutionary with this eyeshadow because I just want to show you how they apply. So that went super smoothly. I hope you can tell. This shimmer shades applied super smoothly on here. And I just want to finish up my look, add a little bit more. Okay, so that's the finished eyeshadow look on here. And once it's all said and done, full eyeshadow, I don't think there's a big difference in the way the eyeshadow looks on one eye versus the other. Yeah, like completely finished. If you look very carefully, you might be able to see this the shadows on this eye a little bit lighter, like just a teensy bit lighter, but not enough that it's really noticeable. So I think that in terms of ease of application of eyeshadow on top of the base, both of these do an extremely good job. So the final question is longevity. Do these actually help the eyeshadow last all day? And the answer is very simple. It's yes. It's yes. Both of these shadows help. Both of these cream bases help the eyeshadow last all day. I haven't had a single problem using either one of these on here. So what's the final verdict? For me, the final verdict is that I prefer the Smashbox lid primer in medium. Even though the color threw me off at first, ultimately it just works beautifully and it's easier to apply than this one. I think the fact that this one is such a lot more of a drier product has made the difference for me because it's a lot harder to use. No, it's not a lot harder to use. It's just a little bit harder to use and I don't like it. I think that's where personal preference comes in. I don't like working with a product that's this dry in the pot. I prefer working with this one. And so I am so glad that I found this. I think this, unless you guys have a recommendation for some other cream base I should try, I think this is the one that I'm going to go with. This is really wonderful. This is the one I would recommend over the Tarte Cosmetics, but hopefully I've given you enough information on here that you can make up your own mind if you've been looking at either one of these products. If you have been eyeing any of these, let me know, or if you have them and have either a similar or a different experience with me, let me know down below because it's always good to hear what a variety of people have experienced. So that is it for me. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.